And here in our studios in Kokomlemle, I'm Bernice Abubedu Lansa. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. And Mr. Nsako has given all of us a lot to think about. Let's head to Bawku now, because there are still concerns about security in that part of the country. If you've been following the conversations, there recently was an attack on some vehicles heading to that part of the country. Well, here's what citizens have decided to do. They've come together to sign a petition. They are demanding escort for public travels to and from the Bawku area. And this morning I've been joined by Awal Ahmed Kariama. He's Executive Director of Rise Ghana. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. And you've been doing a lot of work in that part of the country. It's a pleasure to have you here. The residents of Bawku have assessed the work of the Security Council there so far. They think enough has not been done with regards to stemming or dealing with attacks on commercial vehicles. They actually, in that letter, list a couple of incidents that they bring the attention of RegSec to. But for you, just let me know what your initial thoughts are about the situation in Bawku and whether you agree with these citizens in the concerns they've shared.
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity to discuss Bawku again. But today, we discuss Bawku with a lot of hope and happiness. Let me say good morning to your listeners, your viewers, as well as yourself and management for this opportunity. I am saying that we are discussing Bawku with some bit of excitement, because for the first time, I think that citizens from Bawku are beginning to use civic means to be able to engage the duty bearers, in this case, the Regional Security Council, as well as the security apparatus of the country. Petitioning the IGP, I think, is a very interesting development coming from the fact that citizens are expressing concerns, not hitting the roads and using other means to be able to drum home their demands. So it's based on that we think that is an exciting development. We are hoping that the citizens will continue to use civic means such as these to be able to engage the duty bearers to bring lasting peace to Bawku. We are talking about the fact that when you consider the interaction of the people, when the people are able to interact with each other and come closer to each other and do business without any hindrance, then the place has relative peace and calm and can return to normalcy. But for the past 2 years, the place has not seen any calm, because basically vehicles are being accosted, people are being accosted, and they are killed as they travel about, particularly those who are trying to enter into the heart of Bawku or trying to get out of the heart of Bawku. And so this development that they are calling on the RegSec to take action, I think is a step in the right direction and is commendable. And I must say that this is something that Rise Ghana has called for previously. You will recall that in January, there was an attack in the Northeast region on vehicles coming from Bawku, and the Northeast Regional Coordinating Council collaborated with the Upper East Regional Coordinating Council to start providing escorts. But it is surprising to note that after a series of incidences from the Bawku area, nothing like that has happened in the Upper East region. So when we saw this call by the citizens, when it was brought to our attention, we thought that yes, this is something good, and we need to encourage citizens to begin to use civic means to be able to drum home their demands. And so it's on that account that I see that this is a very positive development.
And this letter that you reference, dated 24th July 2023, is copied to the Minister of Interior, the Regional Police Commander, Ghana Armed Forces Northern Command, Regional Chief Imam, Chairman of the Christian Council, the Bawku Municipal Chief Executive, the media, the NIB Commander, Regional Peace Council, Regional House of Chiefs, embassies and consulates, USA, British High Commission, Australian High Commission, and the Embassy of China. Now, it's signed by the conveners, Martin Azare and Amadou Mokhtar. I would just like to read portions of that letter written to the Upper East Regional Security Council, and we'll continue with our conversation. Now, they say between November 2021 to July 2023, so this is just a little over a year or a year and a half, the Bawku municipality has recorded over 30 ambush attacks and road blockades on private and commercial vehicles, leading to the loss of lives. And like I said, they have the details in the appendix attached to the letter. Now, they say despite these, the Upper East RegSec has not seen the need to provide a planned scheduled security escort in and out of Bawku, Pulimakom, Bawku, Bolga, and Nalerugu, Gambaga, Bawku route. And in action, that has sadly emboldened criminals to continue to attack and kill innocent citizens and state security officials. In a sharp contrast, however, when 3 cases of armed robbery attacks on travelers were recorded in January 2023 along the Bolgatanga-Tamale Highway, the Northeast RegSec moved swiftly to collaborate with their Upper East regional counterparts to provide security for vehicles on the roads to avert similar attacks. Suffice it to note, no lives were lost as compared to the uncountable deaths on the Bawku incidents. You have been working in this space. You just told us that you actually made a similar call to the RegSec. Do you know why the RegSec, as we are being told by the citizens, has not been able to provide the security detail they need? Have you had a response personally? Have you had correspondence with the Upper East Regional Security Council on this matter?
Unfortunately, the Upper East Regional Security Council has been very tight-lipped on this matter. We have issued a press release. We have written to them on this subject matter, but we've not had any feedback from them. And we think that it's just a lack of responsiveness and accountability on the part of the Upper East RegSec, because clearly there are incidences of several, military intelligence vehicles were attacked before. An immigration vehicle was traveling and they were attacked before, and one immigration officer was shot and killed. And so we don't know the type of sit rep that the regional RegSec in the Upper East region has, to the extent that they haven't taken action. Based on the fact that they are responsible with the legal and moral mandates to be able to execute and ensure the total security of the region, when these things happen, it's expected that on their own volition and based on their goodwill and the fact that they have an obligation to move forward and act. But unfortunately, there have been several calls to the Upper East RegSec on this subject matter, and they seem to turn a blind eye. And so that's why it is a very dangerous precedent. If connected to the Northeast incident, less than 24 hours when the Northeast recent incident happened on the 18th, the police hierarchy at the highest national level issued a statement linking into the Bawku conflict and condemning and indicating that they were on a manhunt for the perpetrators, and which some of us saw as a very good signal. For instance, because the police hierarchy is supposed to be on top of the game, picking intelligence and acting swiftly. But unfortunately, when you balance the two regions, you don't see the swiftness with which the police has acted in Northeast region happening in the Upper East region. Is it that the police hierarchy at the national level, at the Upper East regional level, are being curtailed in terms of their mouths are being shut, or they are not appropriately having the necessary briefing that they have? So we are saying that based on the happenings that has happened and the pocket of incidences, and you indicated that from November 21, if you would do the check, from November 21 to date, it's more than 2 years. Okay, it's almost about 2.5 years. And these 2.5 years, people have been going about their businesses and they are accosted and shot and killed. And the state that has a responsibility to protect them and ensure that they are able to exercise their social, cultural, and political rights, as well as economic rights, is reneging on its responsibilities. We are talking about the fact that each day, almost each week, we have incidents of gunshots, because when these attacks, roads are blocked and people are killed, then they lead to reprisal attacks. So we're talking about the fact that women and children are not able to go about their business. Children are not able to go to school. For the past 2 years, children have not had constant contact hours with their teachers in Bawku as a result of the on and off nature of the conflict. And so the lack of action on the part of the RegSec is actually undermining the human resource potential of the area, the peace and security of the area, and the economic prospects of the area. And we know that Bawku is one of the best areas in terms of business. Unfortunately, as we speak, and you see, these attacks are not only limited to citizens of Bawku or those who live within the heart of Bawku town. There are vehicles who come from Togo and Burkina Faso to fly business in the Bawku Central District, and they are prevented. So that's the other angle that we need to look at it. It's becoming an international thing, and it's taking an international dimension. If care is not taken, we might just set up Bawku or set up Ghana and expose Ghana to terrorist attacks and others. Because, look, let's look at Colombia and others. These drug cartels that are holding the whole country into ransom. How did they start? They started as small vigilantes here and there, okay? And I want to emphasize that the issue in Bawku is a clear case of violent extremism. And when we
Right.
say violent extremism, basically we are saying that people who are willing to use force or extreme measures, the use of violence to persecute their agenda. In this case, it can be political, it can be ethnic, it can be economic agenda. So people are being deprived from exercising their right to go about their business using violence and gun violence in this case. So this is a clear case of violent extremism. I don't see why the RECSEC is not able to provide the necessary escort that the citizens are asking for. So for me, and for us, we are happy that citizens are beginning to use civic means because they are not also saying that they are going to block other roads. And let me use this opportunity to also condemn. You see, the Bawku enclave is so strategic land. We have people from Northeast region who hold affinity to also Bawku. And so, like the police connected the incident to the Bawku chieftaincy issue. If we are not careful, then this whole thing can spread across the country. We all know that last year there were some small skirmishes in Ashama, okay, far away in Greater Accra. And let me put it in context that the immigration officer who was killed comes from the Volta region. He was only serving in Bawku. A police lady who comes from Tema, okay, who comes from Tema, was also killed in Bawku. Okay, so we are talking about the fact that, and there are Burkinabe nationals, there are other nationals who have been caught in the middle of this conflict. So if we are not careful and we don't pay attention to Bawku, and we don't call out our political leaders and duty bearers like the RECSEC to stop sleeping on their jobs and do the right thing, we will live in a situation where Bawku will engulf all of us. And the last time I was in your studios, I was saying that, look, the world is so dynamic and complex that there are people who are interested in starting their own country. Okay, we know that there were some revolutionaries who were arrested. I don't want to mention the name, but we know that some people want to form some land somewhere, and then they were arrested. If we are not careful, violent extremists has high exploitative capacities, so they can exploit the situation and they can take our country into ransom.
Right.
And unfortunately, the volume of small arms and light weapons that is in Bawku, if we're not careful, that is the situation that we are. So we are calling on the RECSEC to pay attention to this petition and to the IGP to pay attention to this petition so that the legitimacy that they have will be preserved. Because we need citizens to trust these security authorities so that they can volunteer information as well as work with them to bring lasting peace to Bawku.
And let me just say that the petitioners agree with you. In that letter to the Upper East RECSEC, they say, and I quote, "As a country of rule of law, it is unacceptable for citizens to live in fear. And for how long can we sit in silence to witness these inactions from our leaders? Providing security escorts to Bawku and its environs is not only a smart intelligence move and a moral thing to do, but a strong measure to reduce gun violence and safeguard Ghana's borders from potential terrorist attacks and inflow of small arms and light weapons. Every life matters because it could be you or me." So here again, they link the issue to the fact that Bawku is a route to neighboring countries and that, terrorists elsewhere in other parts of the sub-region can take advantage of what's happening in Bawku to perpetrate crime and establish their dominance. And we know over the period how our attention has been drawn to how close terrorism or the threat of terrorism is to us as a people. And so this is a petition signed by residents of Bawku, and they are demanding security escorts for vehicles, especially because that has been a point of attacks in recent time. So, Mr. Kariama, just to end with you, the petitioners have given RECSEC a one-week ultimatum. They are asking that by Monday, 31st of July, they will receive a well-planned escort schedule with security visibility at various points on all routes for all citizens entering and leaving the Bawku area from Northeast, Bolgatanga, Burkina Faso, and Togo. Or they say they will explore legal and lawful means to drum home their request. I'd just like to find out from you. I mean, obviously, the expectation is that RECSEC will respond to the petition of the citizens. That is the expectation. But if that does not happen, what will your idea of how this should be handled be? And also, if you just have a word for the RECSEC, we'll take it as we wrap up the conversation.
I'm sorry, I am losing my network. I don't know if you can hear me.
Right. So I was just telling you about the 1 week ultimatum the petitioners have given to RegSec. They're asking for a detailed
Yes, I heard that.
schedule.
And your specific question to me was.
My specific question to you was.
I heard that. And your specific question.
If you can hear me, I'm just asking what you like to tell RegSec, even as the citizens await that schedule by Monday, and what you'd also like to tell the residents on options they can carry out if RegSec
Yes,
fails
I think that
to meet their
I want
demands.
to encourage the citizens to continue to use civic means like that to express their grievances. And I want to urge the RegSec to immediately, as a matter of urgency, pay attention to the demands that the citizens are making. And I think that 1 week is actually a very long time because every lives matter, and under no circumstances to anybody lose their lives. As we speak, between the 18th and to the 20th, there have been about 2 other attacks in the Bawku enclave. And so we cannot say that this hasn't come to the attention of the RegSec. So we urge on the RegSec we know that it's a lot of intelligence gathering they are doing and the difficult terrain that they are working in. But posterity will judge them if they do not do the right thing and ensure that innocent lives are saved. I mean, there is no basis for anybody to be going about their business and some people will accost them and kill them. And then you have a state authority supposed to ensure peace and order, not enforcing that. And so Ghanaians should be treated and to have the feeling of being equal and without any discrimination. So they should have a schedule and continue. We don't want anything for the media to see, like they will start escort today and end tomorrow. It should be a dedicated and scheduled escort throughout the Bawku area, just not just targeting the citizens of Ghana, but those who come out from Burkina Faso and Togo, so that we don't expose the risk of creating an international rift between Ghana and its neighbors, Burkina Faso, as well as manage the risk of violent extremists taking advantage of the situation. So I think that the cap is in the ball is in the court of the RegSec, and I trust that they will do the needful by making good their obligation. Thank you.
Ahmed Kariama, he's executive director of RISE Ghana, and they've been doing a lot of work in the Bawku area, and he's been speaking up for residents there as well. This morning, we've been talking about a petition signed by 131 residents of Bawku, and their demand is simple. They want the Regional Security Council in the Upper East to provide a scheduled or well-planned escort schedule with security visibility at various points, because they say that there have been between November 2021 to July 2023, which is not up to 2 years, by the way, just a little shy of it. They highlight all the incidents in the appendix of that letter, right from December all the way through to on the 22nd of July, recently attacks on vehicles, and they make a case why they deserve the escort, especially on that route. So that has been our conversation this morning. We will stay in touch with these petitioners and with RegSec as well, and let you know what the final resolution to this matter will be. Well, it's now time to bring you our edition of our Wednesday business program, and it's time to let you know what's been happening in the world of business. It's brought to you by EcoBank, and today we have people sharing their thoughts on the mid-year budget review. Here's our AM Business Edition this week.